Every day, millions of people wake up with a tight knot in their chest, not because of some life-shattering tragedy, but because of everything. The messages they haven't answered, the judgment in someone's voice, the silent pressure to keep it all together. And no matter how hard they try, there's this nagging thought. Why does everything get to me? Maybe you felt it too. One small comment ruins your day. One unexpected setback derails your mood. It feels like the world holds a remote control to your emotions, and you're just along for the ride. But what if that changed? What if there was a way to become mentally unshakable, where criticism, chaos, or fear couldn't touch your inner peace? This isn't about ignoring reality. It's not about pretending to be fine. It is about learning the ancient art of Stoicism, a way of seeing the world that rewires how you respond to it. A philosophy built not on fantasy, but on practical tools for living with strength and serenity. In this video, we'll explore 10 Stoic principles that can transform the way you think, act, and react. These aren't abstract ideas. They are battle-tested methods to help you build a mind that doesn't crumble under pressure, a heart that stays calm in conflict, and a soul that stays rooted even when life tries to shake you. By the end, you won't just understand Stoicism, you'll feel it in your bones. So take a breath, silence the noise, and let's begin. Imagine setting sail across a vast, unpredictable ocean, but with no compass, no map, and no idea where you're going. That's what life feels like without a firm purpose. You wake up reactive. You chase whatever feels urgent. You drift, hoping to find meaning in temporary achievements or shallow validation. And when the storms come, as they always do, you feel lost. But a Stoic knows the storm is not the problem. Being directionless is. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, don't resent it. Reveal who you are." And who you are begins with what you stand for. A firm purpose isn't a 5-year career plan. It's not a productivity system or a list of goals. It's deeper. It's the answer to a quiet, piercing question. What matters more to me than comfort, fear, or failure? Finding that answer requires honesty. It requires stillness. It requires asking things like, what kind of person do I want to become? What values am I willing to suffer for? What would I protect even when the world pushes back? Your purpose might be kindness, discipline, truth, service. It's not about being perfect. It's about having an anchor, because once you choose that anchor, everything else becomes clearer. Challenges shrink, distractions lose their grip, and the chaos outside can't destroy the clarity inside. The Stoics didn't wait for purpose to fall into their laps. They crafted it through reflection, and they lived by it through discipline. They practiced what Epictetus called prohairesis, the conscious choice of how to live moment by moment on purpose. So if you feel aimless, overwhelmed, or pulled in 1,000 directions, pause, step back, ask the hard question, then write it down. One sentence. That's all it takes to begin. And when the storm hits, not if but when, you won't just survive. You'll steer straight through it, eyes forward, anchored by something stronger than circumstance. Let us be honest. How many times have you regretted a reaction more than the situation itself? The message you fired off in anger, the silent treatment you gave, the stress spiral you couldn't stop. Not because you're weak, but because you were never taught to master your emotions. And yet this is what Stoicism is built for. Epictetus didn't say, "Don't feel." He said, "Control starts with the mind." The Stoics knew emotions weren't enemies, but if unchecked, they'd rule you like tyrants. Here's the truth most people miss. You don't need to eliminate emotion. You need to own your reaction to it. Let's break it down. You get criticized, and instantly you feel that sting. That's the stimulus. But what happens next? That's the choice. Do you absorb the offense? Do you retaliate? Or do you pause, breathe, and respond in alignment with your values? That pause, that moment between trigger and reaction, is where emotional mastery is born. Start small. Notice your inner weather. Don't react to the first flash of frustration. Let it rise, let it pass, then act with intention. The Stoics practiced this every day. Marcus Aurelius would journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." One practical method: practice framing. Instead of, "This is terrible," ask, "Is this within my control?" Instead of, "They made me angry," say, "I noticed anger arise. What triggered it?" You train like a mental athlete. Day by day, moment by moment. Each time you respond wisely instead of impulsively, you sharpen a blade, the ability to stay centered in emotional storms. This isn't repression, this is refinement. And over time, you'll find that the very things that used to break you now build you. Emotional mastery isn't about being cold. It's about being calm. It's about responding with strength, not reacting with weakness. And in that calm lies freedom. Few things cut deeper than criticism, especially when it comes from someone we respect. One harsh word, one dismissive look, and suddenly your confidence shrinks. You replay the comment in your head, you defend yourself in imaginary arguments. You wonder if maybe they're right. But here's the Stoic truth: criticism only hurts when it hits something fragile inside us. And that's exactly why the Stoics didn't run from it. They used it as a mirror. Epictetus taught, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations. Instead, respond with, obviously you don't know the whole story. This isn't arrogance, it's awareness. Here's what most people never realize. Criticism says more about the speaker than the target. It reflects their mood, biases, insecurities, and yet we let it rewrite how we see ourselves. The Stoic doesn't flinch. They pause. They ask, is this true? If yes, thank them. Growth just knocked on your door. If no, let it go. Why carry someone else's burden? Handling criticism well is a sign of maturity, not ego. You don't need to defend yourself to everyone. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to stay aligned with your principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when someone does you wrong, ask, what is their pain? What misunderstanding has led them here? That shift from defensiveness to compassion is powerful. It doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It means you no longer take it personally. You respond with calm, not claws. With truth, not tension, you protect your peace by choosing your perception. And in that moment, you become untouchable, not because you silenced your critics, but because you silenced their power over you. Someone says something cruel. You weren't expecting it. And before you can think, you feel it. A heat behind your eyes, a tension in your chest, a voice inside screaming, how dare they? Offense is instant. It's visceral. It feels justified. But here's what Stoicism asks. What if offense is not about the insult, but about the space you give it inside your mind? Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You see, offense isn't a weapon someone gives you. It's one you pick up and aim at yourself. Let that sink in. Because the moment you take offense, you hand your peace over to someone else's behavior. You allow their worst moment to shape your emotional state, and the Stoics would call that slavery. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can notice the offense and not absorb it. You can pause, reflect, and ask, is this worth my energy? What does this teach me about them, about me? Am I being ruled by my ego or guided by my values? That space between insult and reaction, that's your battleground. And if you win there, you win everywhere. Here's a practice. The next time you feel slighted, don't react, don't explain, don't escalate, just observe, and then walk away if needed, or respond with poise. You'll find that the fire dies quickly when it doesn't get oxygen from your pride. This isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength, to remain composed when provoked, to stay rooted when others lose themselves. Because when you stop letting offense dictate your emotions, you stop being a puppet to other people's pain. You become something rare, a person who is calm, even when the world is chaotic. Some emotions whisper, but fear roars, and shame clings. They're the quiet forces behind so many of our worst choices. We avoid new opportunities because we fear failure. We silence our truth because we fear judgment. We stay stuck in patterns because we're ashamed of where we've been. And yet, the Stoics didn't tell us to hide from fear or suppress shame. They told us to face them, eyes open, heart steady. Epictetus taught, we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. Fear and shame aren't enemies. They're signals. They reveal what we haven't yet healed, what we still run from. Ask yourself, what fear have you let dictate your path? What shame still defines your story? The Stoics would tell you, it's time to stop flinching. Start by breaking fear down. You're afraid of rejection? Ask, what does that rejection really cost me? You're ashamed of your past? Ask, what lesson did it give me, and who could it help now? Fear loses power when you drag it into the light. Shame dissolves when it's spoken with honesty and ownership. And both fear and shame shrink when you move toward them, not away. That's why the Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, imagining hardship before it arrived. Not to suffer twice, but to suffer less, because once you see that you can face it, you already begin to heal from it. And here's the paradox. The more you confront what terrifies you, the more fearless you become. The more you accept your shame, the more unashamed you feel. You don't need to be fearless to act. You just need to stop letting fear decide who you are. That's where courage is born, not in the absence of fear, but in the refusal to let it control your story. Most people hope for smooth seas. Stoics prepare for storms. In a world that praises positivity and manifestation, Stoicism offers something far more powerful: mental readiness. Epictetus taught that a wise person doesn't wait to be surprised by difficulty. They expect it. They rehearse it. And because of that, they are rarely shaken. This isn't about pessimism. It's about power. It's called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It's the daily practice of imagining what could go wrong, not to panic, but to prepare. What if the meeting doesn't go well? What if the project fails? What if you're criticized, rejected, or misunderstood? Instead of pretending it'll all be fine, the Stoic asks, how will I respond if it isn't? That simple question is a shield. Because when you've already walked through the fire in your mind, the flames in real life don't burn the same. When others panic, you remain composed, not because life is easy, but because your mind is ready. Try this. At the start of your day, imagine 3 possible disruptions. Now mentally walk through them. What would you do? How would you stay grounded? This kind of rehearsal doesn't drain you. It strengthens you. It shifts your mindset from reactive to prepared. From why is this happening to me? To I knew I could handle this. Obstacles don't derail a Stoic. They activate them. Because when you stop being surprised by setbacks, you start using them. You become the kind of person who isn't hoping for things to go right, but capable even when they go wrong. And that capability, that's what creates real, durable peace, not fantasy, but readiness. When life crashes down, when the call doesn't come, when the deal falls through, when the person you trusted walks away, what's left? What remains when everything is stripped away? You. And that's where inner strength begins, not in the applause, not in the wins, but in who you are when no one is watching and nothing is going your way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." This is the Stoic path. Not to become cold, but to become capable. Not to fake positivity, but to hold steady in truth. Inner strength isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's the quiet refusal to collapse. It's standing up one more time, then life knocks you down. And it starts with one question. Do I believe I have what it takes to endure this without losing who I am? The Stoic answer is yes, but it's not automatic. It's cultivated. It's built in the small moments, when you choose discipline over comfort, when you respond with grace instead of retaliation, when you keep your word, even when no one's looking. Those moments, that's strength training for your soul. And over time, the world starts to feel different, not because it's changed, but because you have. You walk into the storm without fear. You face loss with dignity. You love without needing control. That's inner strength. It's not about being unfeeling. It's about feeling everything and still choosing the response that aligns with your highest self. When you build that kind of strength, nothing can break you, because nothing outside you can ever overpower what you've built within. We live in a world that rewards the quick, the loud, and the reactive. Say something fast, make your move, fire back. And yet, the Stoics believe that real power lies in restraint, in not doing what your impulse tells you to do. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." But adversity doesn't just test your strength, it tests your discipline. Can you remain silent when your ego is screaming to be heard? Can you delay gratification when every part of you wants to indulge? Can you pause long enough to choose intention over impulse? That pause, that sacred space between urge and action, is where mastery is built. The world tells you that power is in action. Stoicism teaches that power is in controlled action. Start small. Don't check your phone when you're bored. Don't argue just because you're right. Don't chase every impulse that promises a hit of pleasure. These aren't just behavioral choices. They're spiritual training. They remind your body, I am not my cravings. They remind your mind, I respond, I don't react. The Stoics practiced this relentlessly. Marcus Aurelius would ask himself, does this need to be said? Does this need to be done? Does this need to be done by me? That kind of filter protects your peace and sharpens your focus, because not every battle deserves your sword, not every temptation deserves your time, and not every opportunity is worth the cost of your values. Restraint isn't passive, it's precision. It's not weakness, it's wisdom with teeth. When you learn to hold yourself back, to wait, to think, to choose, you stop being ruled by the moment. You become the ruler of the moment. Some things you can fight, some things you can change, but some things are just true. You lose the job, the relationship ends, the world doesn't go the way you planned, and suddenly you're wrestling with reality, as if resisting hard enough will bend the outcome. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that resistance is suffering, that fighting what is doesn't give you power. It takes it away. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it does. Then you will be happy." That's not apathy. That's clarity. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your energy from wishing to acting. It's saying, this happened. Now what's within my control? This moment exists. Now, who do I want to be in response? There is strength in surrender, not to circumstances, but to truth. You stop wasting time arguing with what's already happened. You stop spinning stories about what could have been. And instead, you face what is, fully, honestly, courageously. Practice this when something small annoys you. The flight is delayed. The email never came. The weather ruins your plans. Pause. Then ask, can I accept this and still move forward with peace? You'll find that acceptance is not a weakness, but a release. It's the moment you stop being a prisoner to circumstance and start becoming a partner with reality. Because the world doesn't owe you perfection, but it does offer you this moment, just as it is. And if you can meet this moment with grace, you've already won. What if your peace wasn't something you had to chase, but something you could return to? The Stoics believed that the key to harmony isn't found in changing the world, but in aligning yourself with it. They called this principle living according to nature, but not nature as in forests and rivers, although that's part of it. They meant live according to your human nature, live with reason, with integrity, with humility. Live in alignment with what you are, not what the world tempts you to become. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's living according to nature. You were not born to impress. You were not made to accumulate endlessly or scroll aimlessly. You were designed for truth, for courage, for contribution, for connection. Living according to nature means returning to your center, especially when the world tries to pull you off balance. It means choosing simplicity over excess, purpose over popularity, inner alignment over outer applause. It also means accepting impermanence. Just as the seasons shift, people change, moments pass, life moves. And when you live in tune with that rhythm, you stop clinging. You start flowing. You understand that loss is part of growth, that endings make room for beginnings, that the more you accept your place in the whole, the less pressure you feel to control it all. You're not here to dominate nature. You are nature. So live like it, rooted, present, evolving, clear in your values, calm in your actions, and confident that when you live true to your nature, you'll never need to force your way through life because you'll already be moving with it. You've just walked through 10 powerful Stoic principles, not as ideas to memorize, but as tools to live by. Each one is a step toward something rare in this world, a mind that doesn't shatter under stress, a spirit that doesn't crumble from criticism, a heart that stays soft but never weak, and together they form something even greater, a way of being. You are not here to be ruled by emotions, dragged by distractions, or broken by events outside your control. You are here to live with strength, to think clearly, to act with purpose, to find peace not by changing the world, but by mastering yourself. That's what Stoicism teaches us. It's not a cold rejection of feeling. It's a courageous invitation to feel everything and still choose who you want to be. So take a moment, reflect. Which principle hit the deepest? Which one challenged you the most? Which one will you begin practicing today? Because transformation doesn't happen from watching, it happens from doing. And the smallest shift, the one calm breath before reacting, the one moment of restraint, the one act of acceptance can begin to reshape your entire life, not with noise, not with force, but with the quiet power of a mind that no longer flinches. That's the path. And now, it's yours.
This is your space, where clarity meets transformation. Subscribe and return each week to sharpen the mind and strengthen the soul.